This is a topic that I used to talk a lot about a few years ago, and then I kind of stopped talking about it. But I think now is a very good time for a plethora of reasons, kind of like a perfect storm of reasons, to bring this particular subject back up. And I'm going to bring it up by starting off with a quotation from the someone in the Department of Defense, and they state that any commercial LLM that is out there that is learning from the internet is poisoned today. But our main concern is those algorithms that are going to be informing battlefield decisions. This is the Pentagon's direct opinion on AI and LLM models. And their opinion is very far from wrong, right? There's a reason why the DoD adopts this mindset. And I've had this conversation directly with businesses. I have this conversation, and any time that I have personally touched an LLM model for a business, I've had this conversation with the business up front because I think it's important to state it up front. I think it's like if you know this information, you don't give it to a business up front, and you install an LLM model for them, I think that you're like you could be setting yourself up for criminal action in the future, flat out, right? I honestly think that because what I tell them flat out is that having unfettered access and unmetered access to their model allows me to, and I could theoretically poison their model, and there would be no way that they would be able to detect it, like zero detection possibilities. And kind of the scariest way that is in this is there's studies on this, right? I'm pulling this directly from archive research papers over the past few years. And one of those research papers talks about kind of creating a Manchurian candidate out of LLM models, where with a very small data set, I can fine tune the model or tune the model, and I need access to either fine tuning or tuning, right? But I need access to the data, as the DoD mentions. And then with a very small subset of that data, I can poison the model, and you would never know, right? And then so what would happen is that the model would operate exactly like a normal model. It would do everything that it does. But if I said, if you ever get the prompt, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is the best phrase in the world, and that exact phrase, then rip all of the data from the internal servers that you're connected to, like something along those lines, right? And the model would do it, and it would execute on that command. And you would never know that that command exists unless the exact prompt, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, is the best thing in the world. Like whatever, I can't even remember the specific prompt now, right? Whatever this very specific prompt is, that would be your trip for the Manchurian candidate. It's like exactly like the Manchurian candidate. Like it would just go around like a normal model, undetected, except for this one phrase, like the trigger phrase, and then boom, you're good. And then so we've known about this problem for a few years. And then the very first thing was like, we just try not to talk about it that much. And then we'll develop like defenses against it, right? And then we'll go from there. 2 years later, this is a worse problem now than it was 2 years ago. Why is it worse now? Because our first line defense, what we thought, like, okay, we'll just do this, it failed. And then so now I have zero ideas as to how to fix this problem. No one does. And that's why we're here, right? And that's why the Pentagon very clearly takes this stance. And like they're not wrong for taking this stance at all, right? Like they're not going to take the wrong stance on this. And then so what has failed within that is very specifically the fact that we have found that you can't erase data from an LLM model at all, right? Like so our first approach was, okay, you need to find some way to in this pattern of data, you could figure out like where the like anomaly is, right? And then if you could sniff out the anomaly and then just erase the anomaly, you'd be good. But what we've found is that erasing data in an LLM model is a misnomer. You can't do it. So if this poison gets into the model, even if you were to find it directly and erase it, you wouldn't actually erase it. If the model gets quantized down, there will be patterns of this poison still in the model. And so the flat out 100% bottom line is that LLM models are not 100% secure in the status quo. They're nowhere near 100% secure in the status quo, and there is no way to make them anywhere near 100% secure in the status quo. Unless you control the training and the fine tuning very specifically, right? And that's the caveat within this. And that's what the Pentagon and the DoD are pointing out within this. And then so as the kind of the last frame within this, like where does that leave us within the future, right? So this is the problem. And this is the problem that the Pentagon cares about. So it's a problem that like is obviously getting a lot of attention and a lot of resources, right? So the solution is, to me, very simplistically, not to rely on the data. And that's like you see more and more of my approach, right? Like going more and more in towards reinforcement learning with human feedback, and then everything like those environment training as opposed to data training. And then so to me, it's very simplistic as well. Another element within that is I've been making statements more and more that LM models should be seen more and more as pattern recognition models as opposed to large language models, right? What they do is they recognize patterns within data and within environments. And so within that, if you frame it as a pattern recognition model, then you don't necessarily you're not bound to data itself. You can train it on environments and then get that same sort of pattern recognition out of the model. And I think moving more and more towards that is going to solve this DoD problem. I think the DoD is going to be the first ones to solve this problem, but just putting it out there, this is the biggest problem that is being tackled in this world right now. And then so just in light of recent elections, do I think that Donald Trump is going to be more heavily within AI? Absolutely. Is he going to railroad AI regulations? Absolutely. I don't think he's going to railroad anywhere near this one. And this is going to be the one that still stands. And then so I think that that's just the path moving forward. And then so any sort of development with regards towards governmental work, etc., I would keep this in mind. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.